for those of us who've ever used a map on Apple, Amazon, Facebook, played Pokemon Go, you've probably seen some of the great work that Steve has done through the foundation and everything that he's built. So what is OpenStreetMaps? How should an average person think about it? What is it and how does it relate to the maps we use in the world?
So OpenStreetMap is kind of like Wikipedia except for maps. So instead of editing articles, instead of writing text or adding a photo, you're editing a map of the world collaboratively. The reason that this might be important or useful is that most map data is owned by governments or major corporations. So for normal people to be able to access the data underneath the map, we largely have to go and create it ourselves, especially outside of the United States. So OpenStreetMap is a platform to allow people to edit a collaborative map of the world, and then we give that data away for free.
Oh, awesome. Well, we all know Wikipedia, so that's pretty awesome. So what problem does it solve? Like, was it accessibility to people at large?
It started off as just trying to solve a very simple personal problem that I didn't have any map data. So I had a GPS unit in London, and I had no open source way of placing location on a map because there was no map data that was available. So from the very beginning, it was just about me creating a map for myself. But then when you're building the tools to do that, you might as well put them on the internet and allow anybody to do that, right? So it became a collaborative project out of that, and it turned out that there were many other people that wanted map data of where they lived as well, and if we all collaborate, we can make a map of the world. And a lot of them were for different use cases. So for me, I was just biking around London. There were other people who were, I don't know, driving around Israel, or they wanted maps of zoos in Germany or whatever it was. But through all those different use cases, we collaboratively created this data set of the whole world. Relatively recently, GPS had been legalized, right? There used to be this thing called selective availability that made GPS very hard to use. That was rolled back, and then cheap GPS units started to come around in the early mid-2000s, something like that. And I got hold of one of these things. And it's just a piece of electronics, right? Unless you have a map to put your location on, there's nothing meaningful you can get out of a GPS other than latitude and longitude, right? I'm talking about the raw hardware, not the GPS that people think of when they put one in their car. And so to make this thing come alive and to make it useful, you need a map. I perhaps pretty naively thought that why don't we just make a map all by ourselves, using the GPS itself as input, right? Because you can use the GPS points as dots of where you're going, like Hansel and Gretel dropping breadcrumbs, right? And if you have a sufficient amount of that GPS data, you could create a map out of it with human beings at the time. Now, increasingly, that kind of thing is automatic. I was in college at university, and I just wanted a map of London, and then lots of other people joined in as these tools were put online.